G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach Swordplay and welcome to my round 3 review. I was over the moon last week with a 2050 top 1% round score, but a thud back down to earth this week with a 1930. I had to vent. I had to rage on the Sunday morning. I had about half an hour in between the boys' football games. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go live and get a little bit off my chest. I just could not believe my luck. It was a curse of DR this round. If you follow me on X, you would have seen my posts. And I actually apologized in advance for bringing in some particular players. And lo and behold, they were absolute duds for the week. I wasted a boost, which is super frustrating, but I'm going to try to rectify things this week. I don't really know where I'm going. I just had the biggest live I've ever done on the Sunday. Again, this time the Sunday night was our first Supercoach Talkback live. JJ and I hosted this live event where people could come in, talk to us, jump on the stream, get a little bit off your chest, ask some questions, all the rest. And I tell you what, I had no idea it was going to go that long. I thought maybe an hour. It was a bit of a pilot episode. Thought, see how we go. But we were joined by some absolute legends of the channel. So got some a bit of a list here. We had the great rookie coach come on. Causa, the ladies' man, Blackledge, stayed for a little while with us, which was great. Damon from Supercoach Edge, Supercoach God, stayed for a fair while. Went off, made his round review, ended up coming back, which was awesome. We had Big J, Supercoach Pro, the great Scoops. So Scoops came in. Well, we weren't expecting it, but he came in and went bang to some of these Geelong supporters and Carlton supporters late. So make sure you check that out. It was a heap of fun. And thank you so much to all the legends that actually donated for a bat for Jack. That was unreal. And a special mention to I Don't Like Cheese. I like you, mate. You are an absolute champion of a fella because you did 2 separate donations and it is not asked for. It's not expected, but yeah, just want to give you a special shout because, I cannot thank you enough, mate, for your generosity. But yeah, look, in the end, long story short, I couldn't believe it. I've actually seen a green arrow this week. So I was up just over 2,000 spots, 12,411. So inside the top 12.5K, it doesn't sound or seem fantastic, and it's not, but there's a long way to go. There is a long way to go, and hopefully some good trading can help to get me a little bit closer to the pack anyway. So I really don't know what trades I'm going to lock in this week. It's Monday afternoon now. Well, afternoon, getting close to night. Just got home from work, got 2 games to coach tonight. So again, I've got a little while here, and because we went to close to midnight, I think it was, with the live stream, I haven't really checked out the side too much. So let's get into it, guys. We'll check out the team very quickly, check out some trades. Don't know where I'm going, but hopefully you can help me out. All right, so here we are, and I better start off with the trades that I made last week. I'm spewing about this, absolutely spewing, because I wasn't going to go through with my boost, and I shouldn't have. I should have been more disciplined with the first trade that I made as well. But it comes back to that advice that I give to everyone else and never take myself. Back your gut, follow your gut. I got really cold feet on the short to Dale trade, which I ended up going through with. That did not work out at all. I know this is very short term, only the week, but yeah, didn't work out too well in week 1 anyway. The next trade that I made, and I've got no regrets about this, it was Sardis out and then Xavier Lindsay in. Super unfortunate with the injury. We can't predict this. I think that's still a really good trade. And then it came down to whether or not I used the boost. Originally, I was going through the boost and I was going from Liam O'Connell up to Connor O'Sullivan. Wish I had have gone that way. That would have been absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I went with Jack Henderson. Now, again, this could be an okay move. He made over 50K, plays a couple more matches, hopefully a little bit above 40. He can make me 100K. So that's all good. But my way of thinking was, why don't I just leave Foz in the side? And he as a trade out anyway, I understand that. But I thought, why don't I just leave him for the week? Because I already had the information that Moraes had scored really well. And I thought, okay, well, he might be a must trade in. There's one player I've got to get in, and I've also got to get in Baz. So there's 2 trades that I've got to waste. Well, not waste, but 2 trades I've got to make this week. But I still went through with it. I thought, no, that money could be really, really handy in order to do what I want to do next week. And I shouldn't have done it. at the end of the day. I should have just stuck to my gut. It just, wasn't the right move, but I've made it. Unfortunately, that means I just can't boost this week. There's no way that I think boosting 3 weeks in a row is going to get me to where I need to be long term. I think I need to save at least one of those in the bank and potentially miss out on some really good players this week. We'll go through those in a minute. But very, very quickly, the team as a whole, I don't mind the structure, but some of these rookies are just falling off. And I'll do a mini rant as I go through. But Zorko, I'm not ranting about. I'll tell you what, lock him in as your VC or your captain this week. He should absolutely dominate against the Tigers. I'll be going to the game this week, so anyone going to the G, let me know, and I'd love to catch up for a beer or two, maybe at halftime or something like that. So, very, very happy to own Dane Zorko, and he's just not slowing down. Originally, he was going to be in my captaincy plans, but I did decide to go with the Jack McRae vice captain and kept that at the end of the day. The reason was my round was just going so badly. I thought, no, let's just lock this in and stay safe. I would have got a bigger score because my backup option was Brayshaw at the end of the day, playing the Eagles with a late game. But I thought, no, I'll just lock it in with McRae. But back to Zorks, very, very happy owner. And I think a lot of people are jealous not having him in their side. I'm certainly jealous of the Sinclair and the Whitfield owners. And wouldn't it be lovely to replace Harry Sheasel with one of those blokes? And I know some pretty good coaches that are highly considering it this week because the Shees just doesn't look like it. Really saved his game in that last quarter. I think it was 10, 12, 13 possessions, something like that. So really saved his game. But this is a big concern at the price. I thought it was going to be such a safe pick, but I have question marks all over him at the moment. We'll talk about him in the stocky. Dale was a bloke that I brought into the side. One thing I said last week was something great about Dale is his efficiency. 90%, 2 weeks in a row. That's what I'm buying up for. Someone that can use the ball really well. Didn't go anywhere close to that. Some pretty bad clangers. And it just didn't seem like he was actively trying to get onto those 1-2s, go around the back. I don't know if someone was playing a bit of a defensive role on him. He missed out on some kick-ins. I know that he was actually on the bench for 5 of those, so there could have been maybe 3, 4 extras. Who knows? So a little bit frustrating, but I'm hoping long-term it's going to be a decent pick. But very disappointing debut. Roberts was obviously the captain this week, took that Jack McRae score. Luke Trainer, Zach Reed, thank you very, very much. I was so concerned about what I was going to do down back here. And hey, this is just 1 week. We've seen what they've done for the first couple of weeks. So not counting all our chickens yet, but just knowing they've got the potential to go a 90 and an 88, that is absolutely fantastic. And the other great thing, particularly for me, when you look at some of the other rookies I've got, particularly on the pine here, is the fact that they're going to be great money makers now in the short term, having these big scores in their 3-week price cycle. Absolutely fantastic. The lowest scores now in round 1 are out of the system. So again, that's a real big advantage to these players when we're looking at their prices. O'Connell, this is just super unfortunate. The poor fella, Supercoach is just a game, but that was a pretty big hit. He got up and you could just tell that things weren't right. So who knows how long he's going to be missing out for. He was on the fringes anyway, I think, of the side. Never sub, so always in the 22, which was positive. I'm hoping he can come back. At this stage, I've already got Bice. There's no one I can really go to here, so I'm just going to hold on to him for now. And Bicey hopefully maintains his spot this week. He was fantastic, undroppable in my opinion. Spills has already thrown away the keys, so hopefully he comes back and can come on field for me this week. I will just do, O'Connell will be, I'll work out all the loops later. Brayshaw, super, super happy with this. Did miss 2 shots on goal, so a 150 really, really went begging. But these are the matchups that we select these players for, and he delivered. So very, very happy with Brayshaw, and I'm hoping that this is a real kickstart he needs for some really nice 125-plus scores from here. Chalky Neal, now I've talked at great length in the 2 lives that I did on the Sunday about my little theory here. So I'm going to go through this extremely quickly because I'm sure many of you have already heard it before. But my theory is that, from my observations, his teammates simply aren't trying to block for him, support him, and try to allow him to actually get the ball like they have been in the last couple of years. Even 2-3 years ago, if Lachie Neale had a bad game, Brisbane would tend to have a pretty poor game. it was a bit of the Lachlan Hill Football Club. It's just not like that anymore with our midfield. We've got the McCluggages, who's, an elite AFL footballer now. Dunkley, who's the best two-way runner in the comp. And then we've got the Norm Smith medalist in Will Ashcroft, who's an absolute freak. And look what he did last week. Throw in your Rainers, your Baileys, potentially his younger brother. Then you've got a lot of players that can actually go through there now. So I think Neil is actually prepared to sacrifice his own game, move into a particular space to allow space for his teammates to actually run through. I think he's being too unselfish. And why else? Why wouldn't his teammates be blocking for him and actively trying to free him up? I think they're almost accepting the fact that, hey, okay, Lockie's being taken out. It's confusing because for opposition sides, if you look at it, say a Tom Atkins from Geelong, you'd be wrapped, wouldn't you? Okay, Atkins for Neil, we'll take that every day of the week. But I think Brisbane, as strange as it seems, are actually prepared to take that as well. Because if you look at the remaining matchups, just say Geelong midfield versus the Lions midfield with those remaining 3v3, then Lions have the absolute wood there. So moving forward, I'm actually concerned about this. We've got a pretty solid next 3 weeks, I think, in regards to the fixture. So obviously Richmond this week. Geez, I'm hoping he goes okay. The Bulldogs don't tag, so I think these are 2 really nice fixtures. Who knows if McIntosh with his silly headband's going to try to stop him? I'm not too sure, but I'm still backing him against the Tigers, not as my captain, but still backing him to get a really decent score. And then I really like these next 2 weeks against the Dogs. They put a pyramid on him, possibly. But then I think it's St Kilda, isn't it? Yeah, this is a concern. So you've got Wintager, who's an absolute given there to tag. Gold Coast, probably not. North, don't know. Melbourne, don't tag. Then you have Finn McGuinness if they're still continuing at that time. So yeah, it's an awkward time frame. You've sort of got a few good games, and this game could just send him completely downhill again because he's simply not. I'm not even going to say coping with the tag. I think he's just prepared to sacrifice his own game as captain. These could be good. So another 3. Then you've got this one. It's a bit of a tough scenario. So worst case scenario with Lachie Neale, if things just aren't looking good, it may be in round 7 where I may even have to correct. We'll see what happens there, but I'm definitely keeping him for these next 3 fixtures. I'm backing him in the next 3. But yeah, it's not a fun own. Chera, that's absolutely fine. He actually got to, I think, about 102 during the final quarter. I reckon it was almost halfway through the final quarter, but then lots of other players stepped up and he had to lose a little bit of scaling. I don't think it's necessarily anything that he did towards the end of the game, but 98, we'll take that, absolutely. Clary, I've never seen this bloke so fumbly in his life. It was just ridiculous. Chest marks, even picking up the ball, handballing, fumbling out of his hands. I don't know what it was. If you had a bad sleep the night before, Carlton are struggling as a footy club, aren't they? Sorry, Carlton support. I was legitimately going to say Melbourne, but Melbourne as a club are really struggling at the moment. And is Clary just a part of that? I'm not too sure, but I'm still going to back him in. We know what he can produce. Hopefully they just get together, work out what's going on there and put their best foot forward on field. Clary's going to be one of the drivers of that. If he's not, then I don't see a bright future in 2025 for the D's. You would not believe this. This is a rant. Finn Callaghan. Sammy Mitchell decides, this is the week, and it's Finn Callaghan where we're going to bring out Finn McGuinness. Finn v. Finn. And we know what happens when Finn tags. Oh man. What I was thinking here is that Callaghan v. Day. What a week to be a Callaghan owner over a Will Day owner. Bedford's going to go straight to Day. He might produce a 60 if he's lucky. And then I'm going to have Finny Boy here give me a lovely 115. But no, it was close to the other way around. I just could not believe what happened. Bedford goes to Newcombe. Day goes forward for a little bit, doesn't receive that attention. It was just ridiculous. I could not believe this. So didn't actually watch the game myself. Must have been watching the Brisbane game. I think it was on the same time as the Brisbane game. So this was absolutely devastating to see that Callaghan only got a 55. I think he was on about 30 points at quarter time, I've been told. So 25 in 3 quarters, if that's the case, is extremely disappointing. And opposition teams now know that he can be shut down. But I'm not in complete panic stations yet. I haven't really even checked out his upcoming fixture. Who's he got this week? He's got the Eagles this week. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm not looking at that wrong. Okay. This is good. This is good. Okay, I love owning him all of a sudden again. Come on, Finn. Bounce back with a 120 plus, mate. Come on, let's do it. Noddy, 104. He's the must-have rookie. We've said this basically from week one. You've got to own the man. And, hey, on field at the moment, he's doing better than half of these elite midfielders. So if you're a Noddy owner, like I think 100% of the comp should be, you're going to be very happy. If you're not a Noddy owner for any reason, I'm assuming it's more of a ghost team. Lindsay, I think most people bought in. I think most coaches would have traded him in. It's just unfortunate. You can't predict this type of stuff, but news has come through that apparently it could only be 1 week. So what do you do here? You could go either way because he's made a little bit of coin. He's at 190K now, or just over 190K. You could say, well, if you go someone like Moraes this week, then you're banking a little bit of coin. You're banking 80K on that trade. You could say to yourself, no, do you know what? I'm going to cop the 9 because remember, he's going to be a bit of a slower burn over the next couple of weeks, given the fact that that 9's in his system. But you could say to yourself, do you know what? I'm just going to cop that. I bought him in for a reason. We know what his talent's like. If he comes back in, say, 2 weeks, that's going to be fine. Get a couple of games out of him, get that 9 out of the system, and then we should start to reap the rewards. So, yeah, it depends how you want to go there and depends what your avenues to particular players are this week. Another rant, Chris Scott, what are you doing? Perfect conditions for Nevitt, wet conditions at the Gabba. He's a tackler. He's a contested beast. He should have been in his absolute prime here, but no. Starts him as a sub. Jordan Clark comes in, O'Connor comes in. Just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And why would you even name Tom Stewart? I put a tweet out well before the game saying DR's little crystal ball here sees Stewart out, O'Connor in, O'Connor hard tag on Lockie Neal. I didn't quite get the O'Connor hard tag on Lockie Neal. That was Atkins' job, but it was so obvious. Everyone saw it from a mile out. So just come on, Chris, you're an embarrassment, mate. Kako with the 62. Yeah, that's okay. The issue for me and the frustrating thing was I moved him to the midfield this week knowing that Campo was out, being able to loop his score. And I thought, no, I'm not going to take a 62 because I'm backing all these players here to go a lot higher. Obviously, I had no idea Lindsay was going to get injured. And by the time news came through that Nevitt was a sub, these 3 guys had already played. So nothing I could do, which was super frustrating about that. But 62 will take, particularly after last week. Henderson was really disappointing for a 43. But at the end of the day, he's a 99K rookie. And what do I really expect? Campo, I'm hoping that he comes back, but again, I don't know. He shouldn't be the scapegoat. You know, why is Frankie Evans in the side? I'm not too sure, but yeah, hopefully he comes back. Tristan Sherry, just more collateral damage this week in the first 5 minutes of the game. Now, I don't know what the go is here because he obviously played out the game, but kept on feeling for it. He obviously wasn't right. Spent the last, I think it was 8-9 minutes on the bench. So this is just super frustrating. Those people that traded in Sherry for Flynn, which was the right move, you just got screwed this week. And yeah, as someone that started him, I suppose the blow was a little bit easier to manage. But with all the other carnage that I've faced this week, and I suppose bad decision making on my behalf, it hurts even more. So I hope that he's right. I hope they don't just say, look, just give him a week off, let him rest. That would be an absolute disaster. So fingers crossed the big man's back, but this is a bit of a concern because I don't think he's had an injury like this before. TDK should have had the VC on him, but I was that keen on putting the VC on McRae because I legitimately thought he would be the best captain option for the week. So I always try to get my VC on that player, but wasn't the case this week with a 120. That's all good, but 133, just fantastic. Very unfortunate that he ended up getting scaled back. That saves me a little bit for those that had the VC on him or the captaincy on him. But yeah, very frustrating at the end of the day, but it is what it is. Boyd didn't play. I don't see him really getting in the side, to be honest. Rankin, this was a fantastic trade-in. So I used the boost really well, I think, in week 1. In saying that, Hugo Garcia, he was a must-trade out. No Tog in week 1. The sub week 2. Jack Steele's out. He comes in and looks like Jack Steele in his prime. You just wouldn't believe it. But anyway, I'm not going to rant about Hugo Garcia. I genuinely hope that he does well. The Supercoach side of me doesn't, though. But Rankin, yeah, just a superb trade-in. He's our clear F1, along with McRae at the moment. So you've got to own these two, I think. Rankin basically becoming a must-have because the bloke next to him, I've got no words, just super disappointing. I'm going to go through all this in the stock market video, so I'm not going to rant about JHF now, but he's a realistic trade out option this week. Am I going to do it? I'm not too sure, but things just aren't looking good. He's getting some mid-time. It's not like he's just stuck forward at full forward or anything like that. He's just not looking interested, doing some dumb things, attitude problems. It's just not the JHF I thought I was going to buy. And remember, right at the start of the season, go back to your gut. I was all over fading him. In the official podcast, I think they asked me who's a really popular pick you're fading. I said JHF in a heartbeat. So, I wish I'd have stuck with that advice. McRae, got a bit of a tag, which wasn't ideal, but still posted 120. That's okay. I think it got dropped a little while into the game, so all good there. Daniel with the 116. We've all got him. Fantastic. Love it. Power Pepper was looking really, really good up until halftime. And I reckon about 2 minutes before the halftime siren, he copped a bit of a hard tackle and was basically sprawled out on the floor. And I thought, oh, come on, get up, Sam. But I think it genuinely did knock him around because he did absolutely nothing in the second half. I was speaking to the great JG on Twitter, and we were wrapped because we're both owners. But the second half, just nah. And it's our theory that did knock him around a little bit. So you can't put it all on that. But hey, if he plays like he did in the first half and like he did last week, he's going to continue to make cash. So I'm pretty keen to hold on to SPP. This man here, Davidson, what a man he is. Been red hot on him all preseason. Was a little bit worried after week 1. Should I actually field this bloke? Because I confidently said yes going into the start of the season. But the last 2 weeks, particularly this week, have shown why. I think I was on the money there. One of the few good decisions that I made. So 129, he was absolutely everywhere. Had the ball on a string. Even when there were these, kicks right up in the air, these 15-meter kicks, just sky high, somehow Davidson would be the man that was sitting under it somehow. It was just a fantastic game from him. We don't expect this every week, but it gives us a lot of confidence that we can at least have him sitting there on field at F6. We're going to be paranoid from now on, aren't we, even having him on the bench? Wrapped to have him. Really, really good. Stone with a 46. Yeah, it's okay. He's making money. Nothing to write home about, though. And Elijah Hewitt's a sub. Of course he is with the 22. You wouldn't read about it. Levi Ashcroft, 36. I don't know why I scored so low. No major impact. But what I will say is that goal really gave us a little bit of momentum. The boys obviously got around him. Excitement, changed our attitude, I think, and really helped to secure the win at the Gabba. So, a bit of an underrated game, I think, when you look at the score of 36. So, that is the team at the moment. And what on earth am I going to do when it comes to my trades? So, who are we looking at this week? All right, so we've obviously got Baz. There's some really interesting forward options. The first one here, all right, so I'll just quickly go through who I think the options are. So you've got Baz, who's really almost must-have option, I think. You've got Humphrey Bailey Humphrey, who is sitting at about 270K, who's played 2 really nice games, and we can go through a lot of stats on the stock market video this week, which sound impressive. Does he keep the role? I'm not too sure. The other one's Ryan Marrick. So a ton of kick-ins on the weekend. Seems like he's got a fantastic role. One of the boys on the stream, I forget who it was talking about the old Shannon Hearn role, and geez, that's got to prick your ears up, doesn't it? So 3 mid-price forward options, who I think are really interesting options. I've already got Bice, which is good. You've even got a Harvey Langford, who's that high price type rookie, but I think he almost led the way for the D's for contested possessions on the weekend. And from a first-year player, that is super impressive. He's stepping up while Track, your Olivers are struggling. So that's really impressive from the young man. You've also got who arguably is a must-have rookie in Christian Moraes. Now, if Butters comes back, does that affect him? Possibly, but lots of people are saying that he's really commanding that wing role, and regardless of whether or not Butters is in the side, that shouldn't affect him too much. So I do like him this week, and he's close to a must-have. So I just can't use a boost as much as I'd love to. I'd love to get Sheasel out, for example, like Sheasel to Whitfield. Oh, my goodness. That is so tempting. It's not funny. I just think, given the fact I've used my 2 boosts, and I really don't feel like I've really upgraded on field. I think I've got some better players, but it's not like rookie for premium, anything like a upgrade like we traditionally call one. So that concerns me this week. And if I use another boost, it's like, damn, excuse me, 31 trades with basically a whole season to go. I'm just not comfortable with it. So, you know, a Sheasel to, a Sinclair or a Whitfield is super tempting. It's super tempting to also get Horn Francis out as well, because he's just not doing it for me. You get a Baz in this position, and then you can upgrade a Stone or another dead rookie. Well, Stone's not a dead rookie, but any other rookie to someone like your Marek, maybe a Humphrey. So these are big decisions that I've got this week, and I'm not quite sure on who to actually trade out. So Shees would be the premium that I would trade out, absolutely, just to get the cash from him. Now, he's already lost a bit of coin, I know that, but he's still at close to 600k, so he's still got a fair bit on his head. Trainer Robert Snow, O'Connell, you would, but I just don't think there's anyone that I can go to, given the fact that I've got Bicey there. You're not trading out any of these guys. Brayshaw, no. Neil, no. I'm just holding him. Chera, no. Oliver, no. Callahan, no. No. Then he comes to Xavier Lindsay. They say it could only be 1 week, and I'd love to hold on to him because I actually boosted to bring this bloke in. I'm not overly keen on trading him. I would like to keep him. Nevitt's an interesting one. He's now got the 20 in his system, but surely he comes back into that starting side. Unfortunately, now going to be paranoid that he could potentially be subbed out, for example, even if he does start. But I really rate his game. I love his role. It was so unexpected, this sub. It's thrown such a spanner into the works here, particularly with the Lindsay injury, with our rookies on field all of a sudden. So, yeah, potentially, but I'd like to hold. Kako, well, he's fit and he's healthy and he's not the sub, and he won't start as a sub. So, an easy hold, I think, with DPP there in the midfield. Henderson, you're holding. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that he keeps his spot. You've got, Cozzy coming back, so not sure about this, but yeah, I'm just hoping that I'll get lucky there and he keeps and makes more money. Campo, look, he could get his spot back, but is this just an easy sideways? Get Moraes in if he's not named, potentially, but he's got a negative 40 break even. That's an issue, negative 41 break even. So I don't necessarily want to get rid of him. And you can actually use him as a loop. Oh, don't need to this week. You got Kako, so that's probably relevant. No. Boyd, no. Rankin, no. This is when Horn Francis comes into it, like as a realistic option. If I'm comparing him to some of these other players here, I'd probably get him out first, even though logically he should be the keeper, whereas your Callahan maybe not. So this is why it's so tough. McRae, no. Daniel, no. Power Pepper, I probably want to hold on to him. Look, he's still got a negative break even now that 18's out of the system. So I think I'll still hold. You know that he's got good job security. Davidson, I'm going to trade him. Stone. -4. So, look, it's not really low for a rookie. Made a little bit of coin and I started him. Hewitt, I want to keep on to. I rate him more than I do Stone, but then again, Stone hasn't been the sub yet. So this is where it's really tough. Who do I go even? Is it Baz Moraes? Just make it easy. Or do I go your Humpty? So I've gone from Humphrey V. Bear to Humpty. He's got so many nicknames. Bailey Humphrey. Or do you go your Marek with that really friendly role? I want to really go with a guarantee here. And I think probably the guarantee, and there's no other guarantees I know, but that's probably Baz. What do I do? Okay. If I hold on to Horn Francis, because I really think I'm almost at a stage now where I need to hold my premiums, it probably comes down to having to trade out a Lindsay or a Nevitt type if I want to go this way. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to have the cash to do it, but just say if I went Lindsay to a Moraes, we'll do that. 238. Okay, so 238k. That's not bad because it gives me a few options to get Baz. And I can go up from, just say, a Power Pepper if I wanted to. Yeah, I've got enough coin to do that. Would I have enough? 393. Is that enough for Baz? By the skin of my teeth. By the skin of my teeth. So that then allows me to get Baz on field in the forward line. I don't feel that, well, Lindsay I just brought in this week. With him being injured, Moraes on field, I think is good. Long term, you probably want Lindsay over Moraes, but again, I think you've just got to bring him in this week. This works out money-wise. But I ideally don't want to trade out Lindsay and Stone. Ideally, I don't. The issue is I won't have enough money just in the two trades to go a Campo sideways, which I'd probably be keener on, just given the fact that Stone's in the side. Power Pepper v Stone, I'd probably keep on to Power Pepper. Nevitt, I wouldn't actually have the coin, would I? To do that, I'm just down, aren't I? Yeah, I'm just down. I don't want to trade Lindsay, though. The other option, if I don't go this way, $265K in the bank. Well, Campo to Moraes is an upgrade. Horn Francis to Baz is an upgrade. And I'd have $265K in the bank. The issue is I'd then be still fielding Power Pepper and Davidson. Look, Davidson looked awesome on the weekend, but still he's put out a 37, don't forget. Yeah, look, it's a really tough one. Look, if you didn't even go Moraes and you want to add a bit more security down here, could you potentially skip on Moraes's money and look at it differently in the fact that you're making money on Horn Francis to Baz? And I hate trading Horn Francis now because he's already lost cash. But Baz is yet to go up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see their prices align pretty quickly. And then you're making money on Marek as well. So what's... -37. I think Moraes is probably the option here, but GWS, Carlton, Eston, Hawthorn, Melbourne, Richmond, St Kilda. I have to look at DVPs. Mid defense. Oh no, he's a mid. He's a mid forward. So that is handy in one respect, but I was really looking for that forward defensive DPP, which you obviously can't get because he's already got that mid forward DPP. Look, 265K, it's an option. He's only gone up 42 this week. We've also got Bailey Humphrey there as well, who's got a -55 break even. Oh, look at this fixture. Adelaide, North, and Richmond. Adelaide's not fantastic, but these two here, with his low break even, could this be as good of a short-term play as potentially getting a rookie in? Because with Moraes, we're not expecting 90s. We're just not expecting 90s every week. Let's just say if we peg that back to a 70, and that's still really good for a rookie. Could the better short-term play be to get someone like a Humphrey on field? Because that way I'm still no, I'm not, am I? No, I am in a way. Because remember, Smith is a forward. So in a way, I'm bringing one of these guys off field. And this fixture here, that could be really, really juicy. And coupled with the fact that he's already got that 104, 111 in his price cycle. Although the other thing we need to take into account, this is against West Coast and Melbourne. But what a draw. West Coast, Melbourne, Adelaide, North Richmond. So Adelaide not great, but then he got North Richmond. Sydney, Brisbane, not fantastic. Bulldogs, Hawthorn, St Kilda, Freo. Okay, so this is where we really want him for 5 and 6. Look, it could be something I'd consider doing, but would it just not make sense with Marius? So there's an option for me there. And then, so let's just say if I complete that, which I would really ideally like to keep Horn Francis here and just add Baz. But that Humphrey draw is really juicy. Look, that same as a Marek role playing down back. It's really, it's a tough one. All right, so ideally my forward line looks like that at its optimum. So Rankin, McRae, Baz, Daniel, Humphrey, Davidson. I'm really comfortable with that forward line. Brayshaw, Neilchera, O'Driscoll. Okay, so Lindsay wouldn't be playing. So it probably would be something like that, given the fact I'm not sure about your Nevitt types. Look, I'm not saying I'm going to go through with that trade. I'm most likely going to get Marius in. If I boosted, I could, but really, I just can't. I just can't. I would love to, and every part of me wants to. Like getting a Stone out, it would. Yeah, I'd love to get Marius in, and I reckon I will, but I might just, roll with that just for now anyway, and work out what on earth these trades are going to be. I'll work at all the loops as well, but just keep in mind we've got Reed this week as a loop, but I've got O'Connell, so he's going to be out. I can use him as a captain, captain loop, but not to loop on a score. I can actually use Kako to loop on a score here or in the midfield, so I'll work out all the loops there. Ashcroft is in my flex at the moment, so we'll see what happens there. And quickly, captains, vice captains, we'll do a separate video as we always do, but Dane Zorko, where do we play? 415 at the G, so he's got to be either captain or probably prefer vice. And then after that, well, Sherry is hard to rely on. Who's TDK? Maybe just go TDK into Zorko. Bulldogs, Andy B might be friendly. There's no way. I'd love to go Finn Callaghan as a real pod against West Coast, but I just wouldn't have the courage to do that, or maybe the stupidity. Neil's not an option. McRae, who does McRae play? Saints, Port. Yeah, don't know about that. Do you know what? I was silly for not doing it last week. I'm going to do that this week. So I'm just going to go with TDK. I don't know about the Cameron matchup, how that'll go. But I just think that, or could you go real pod? If it's a dry day at the G, could you do something like that? Just something a little bit different, which I don't think a lot of coaches are going to do. I may potentially do that. So maybe a Baz or a TDK VC into a Zorko captain. I think that's what I'm most comfortable with. So, guys, I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be coming out tomorrow night with the potty. Something to look forward to there. We've got the stock market coming out. We are going to start to do a few more lives as well. So I've also got all the boys from the Hub coming over. They're going to start to produce some content. So that might be on the Supercoach Hub Discord /Swordplay Discord. It might be a Twitter live. It might be just through YouTube. We'll talk about that. And we have a very, very exciting event coming up through the Discord, a live event that's actually got nothing to do with Supercoach, but something that I know many of you are passionate about, and a game that I love playing as well. So more info on that coming out soon. But until then, guys, take care. All the best. Good luck with your trades. I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers, bye.